So this tonight, which we're going to see, is the most basic proof that we have, or evidence, I should say, that Hashem is there's not just any God, but Hashem is the right God, and the Torah is the authentic word of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore Judaism is the authentic religion which HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants people to have. Okay, so he says, Ofen Hey, the fifth way of achieving Emunah is Mesores ve'edus hadoros, is the tradition and the testimony of generations. Ofen Zeh Musbar b'ktzor de sefer Kuzari. This manner of understanding Emunah is explained in brief by the Kuzari. Kuzari is the sefer written by Rabbi Yehuda Levi in the 1200s. It was written as, we don't know if this is actually accurate or not actually accurate, as a dialogue between the king of the Khazars, who were a nation in the area where Russia is today, and a Jewish sage named Rabbi Yitzchak HaLevi. Now, whether this actually took place or whether the Rabbi Yehuda Levi made this dialogue up in order to have an interesting way of writing a sefer, we don't know. There are people who say that the Khazars were in fact the real country which converted to Judaism, and as a result of these the arguments in the sefer, and those who say that Rabbi Yehuda Levi kind of made this up in order to make an interesting book. So it could be either way. It doesn't really matter for our purposes, but because what really matters to us is the arguments, not what the historical fact of whether this took place in reality or Rabbi Yehuda Levi just wrote it. But let's see what he says. Our religion is not like our nation is not like other religions. Shama ma'amin. There, the believer believes because a priest told them what to believe. The priest also doesn't know because he personally has been able to examine the truth and see it whether it's true or not. He relies on another key. Another priest who came before him. The concept of emunah by them, by other religions, ain't about those muchletes. It's not a definite idea. Because of a logical understanding, a logical argument. It is something which they reckon and they assess to be true. The assumption is, well, somebody told me this. Why should he lie to me? I assume he's telling me the truth. So therefore, I accept what he says. Zosames means to say, Haribui HaMuspari, that the great number, Hatsum, vast number, so 300 million Catholics, 300 million Catholics, actually, there are 1 billion Catholics in the world. It doesn't mean anything. All shows that they're easy for them to follow all sorts of storytellers. Because initially, Jesus only had 12 students. And only on what they said, and what they say they witnessed, that's what Christianity is based upon. Now, so this is important to understand that all other religions are based on the words of a few individuals. Those few individuals told other individuals, who told other individuals. And the other religions, acknowledge that they were given by an individual or a few individuals. Like Christianity was given by one person to his 12 students. It's not even clear if he gave it over, they made it up, but a very small body of people. Islam was made by one person, by Muhammad. And all the religions are similar. Buddhism, Hinduism, they all are based on individuals who other people then accepted and believed. Okay. Lumazos, on the other hand, Yisrael and Jewish people, our belief is based on a firm foundation. 500,000 anoshim, 500,000 people, and that's just the men, over 500,000. They can't testify falsely to what they saw with their own eyes. Bimei Moshe Rabbeinu atzmo. No, Bimei Moshe Rabbeinu atzmo, who amar la'amnichas Eretz Yisrael, and Moshe Rabbeinu himself said to the Jews who are entering the Eretz Yisrael, Kish'alna liyamin rishonim. It's the pasuk in Chumash. If you ask about earlier generations, Asher hayu lefanecha, which happened before you, from the time that Hashem created man on the earth, from one end of the earth to the other end of one end of the heaven to the other end of heaven. Did any other nation hear the voice of God coming down out of the fire and speaking to them like you heard and you survived? Moshe Rabbeinu says it's an obvious point. No other nation ever had this experience similar to Har Sinai. No other religion ever had experience similar to Har Sinai. Moshe Rabbeinu tells the people, listen, you're not believing because I told you so. You're believing because you and your parents actually experienced this. Not because of me. The reason you believe in me is because at Har Sinai, Hashem said, listen to Moshe Rabbeinu. But not because I came and told you a story. You all were part of it. That's the whole point of the pasuk. Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, remember, don't believe because of me, but believe because of what you experienced yourselves. Moshe Mamid Mubnei, so Moshe puts in front of the Jewish people uvdoi stories, a historical fact, which they themselves experienced. Literally, they felt on their flesh. Sheshamu kol Hashem bekoach min Har Sinai. They heard the voice of Hashem with great power from Har Sinai. And from the time of the world was created, Mizrach Shemesh Amvo, from the east to the west, Loyak Mopelazeh, there was nothing so amazing. Shebnei Uma Shalema, that the entire nation, Yukulam Navim, all became prophets. Everybody was a Navi at Har Sinai. Everybody had Nevuah. Yesh Osim Lev L'kach, and we have to pay attention to this. That nobody who heard Moshe Rabbeinu's declaration, Lokam Lar Er Allah, got up to oppose him. Nobody contradicted his words, and nobody argued with him. In all other controversies in the Torah, Parshas Korach, Parshas Meraglim, Mitzonim, Mon, V'chulei, what happened with Korach, what happened with the Meraglim, happened when they complained about the lack of meat, what happened with the Mon. Moshe tells us in honesty, on how people opposed it. Haketa Rakani has come close to the Barav. How all of a sudden, by a mountain Torah, does everybody agree to what he says? Now, this is very important. The Torah always tells us how Am Yisrael argued on Moshe Rabbeinu. They never accepted what he said so easily. They argued, they fought, they rebelled. The Torah very, very deliberately tells us that the Jewish people are obstinate people who are skeptical, cynical, and don't believe things. And even Moshe Rabbeinu. In order to make a point, in order to say, you know what? These people, the Am Kshei Oref, if they accepted that there's a God who came down to them in Har Sinai, and nobody ever disputed that, it's probably true. Because otherwise, just like they disputed everything else, they should dispute this. They have said, never happened. We're not going to Eretz Yisrael. The heck with you, right? You're lying to us, Moshe Rabbeinu. They didn't say that. They followed him. Why? It must be because it was true. They all experienced it. Moshe how is it possible? Only here everybody agrees with what he said. We know very well the character of the Jewish people. They're very quick to respond, to criticize. Because they're very quick to criticize. If today somebody would have get up, it's in our day and age, somebody would get up, Lodia, to tell people, Shishama Misores, that he heard a tradition, Sheyesh L'chol Dafka banana Yom Kippur. But you get up and say, there's a mitzvah to eat bananas on Yom Kippur. Somebody get up and says, let's eat bananas on Yom Kippur. And he has evidence for this, in a secret scroll, which he found in some cave. With the whole community accept him with pure belief. True, a lot of people remain silent and say, okay, bananas and kippur, right, fine. I would have bananas and kippur. You come in comments, but there always be at least a group of people who would contradict this and say you're full of baloney. How can I ever heard this from my father and my uncle? Without any argument, this cannot be acceptable to people. And here, opposite the strangest sentence they could possibly hear. He's telling them, Hashem spoke to you, your entire nation, and made you all Nevi'im. Moshe Rabbeinu tells them all, Tem kulchem shamatem. You all heard. Maybe no Mari Mazvav not going to. If it's not true, are they not going to reject what he has to say? It's much more crazy to say, if it's a lie, that Hashem spoke to an entire nation than to say Hashem said to eat bananas on Yom Kippur, right? Because okay, I can't. If you say Hashem ate the banana, said to eat banana on Yom Kippur, either I accept what you're saying, I don't accept what you're saying, but I don't have to put my belief in some event which you claim took place because you say Hashem said it to me alone. But if I come to you and say Hashem spoke to you and told you to eat bananas on Yom Kippur, then of course, if he didn't tell me to do that, I'd say you're crazy. Hashem never told me to eat bananas on Yom Kippur. So logic dictates that if they accepted it and said, yeah, you know what? Hashem spoke to us, that it must be true. You understand this? Got the point? So he says, this is itself the proof that this is completely correct. This is not like other religions. Sorry. All those people are convinced it's because they surrender their logic to the priest. And they choose to believe that was just strangers telling them. And this is true about people like Hitler as well, right? Hitler came, he was very convincing, he was a very good speaker, right? He said nonsense, but he said nonsense in a convincing way. So people were convinced by the nonsense. But Hitler didn't come and say, oh, you know what? You guys heard, all of you heard that, well, there was no God, but whatever came down and said, I'm right. No, you only heard it from me. Nobody's going to say, you all heard this. That's not true. And everybody would deny it right away. And even everyone would deny it, at least a few people wouldn't go along with it. Like with Hitler, not everybody went along with Hitler. There are many people, the minority, but many people who resisted Hitler. So, and this is true about all other religions. And even Judaism, Hashem had not appeared to Moshe Rabbeinu and all Bnei Israel at our Sinai. So then logic dictates that we would know that there's a different Masorah. There's a Masorah that Hashem didn't appear, that this is all a big lie. Nobody ever dared to say that until the 1800s. Until the 1800s, anybody among the Jewish people, among Christians, among Muslims, who denied Judaism, they said, yeah, Hashem appeared to the Jews, but something else happened later on. And he changed his mind, or he changed direction. Because it was assumed by everybody who came into contact with Judaism, even if they were not Jews themselves, that, okay, this has got to be true. Something else might have happened later on, but this certainly has to be true. Okay? Besides,
yeah. But now that there are people who say that they don't believe it, then shouldn't Hashem give us another sign if he wants us to still believe it? I mean, it's pretty high expectations to punish people for saying, oh, there's this Masorah that you have to follow because of all this proof, because apparently 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, I appeared to you. Now you have to believe it because you're you're 50 generations later, you have to believe that. Like,
right. So the answer is, there are many answers to that question. It's a good question, of course. There are many answers, but what a basic answer is that when Am Yisrael got the Torah of Sinai, that generation lost its bechira. They didn't have free will anymore. They have to believe, right? Because Hashem comes to you and says, "Here I am, I'm God." So what are you going to say? No, there is no God.
that's lucky.
So there's no free will, right? And Hashem wants people to have free will. Hashem wants people to choose to believe in God, not to believe in God because they have no choice. And that's when Chazal say that Hashem took the mountain and put it over Bnei Yisrael like a basket, and says, if you accept the Torah, good. If not, you're going to be buried here. According to most commentators, it doesn't mean literally he took the mountain. It means if somebody comes and confronts you with reality and says, "Here I am," so you can't deny it, right? You can't deny that Hashem exists. If Hashem comes and says, "Here I am," so they were forced, as if Hashem put the mountain over their heads and said, "You have to accept the Torah." Okay, so that is not the way Hashem wants us to function. Hashem wants us to have free will. They say about Rabbi Chanan Basman said that when he was younger, he saw the Chafetz Chaim remove a dibuk, right, a foreign spirit from a young girl, and he saw the Chafetz Chaim talk to the dibuk and remove it from the young girl. And he said, when he's told the story, he used to say, since then, I don't know if this is 100% true, but this is what he said. He said he has no reward in Shamayim for believing in God. Because if you see something supernatural like that, so how can you not believe in God? So there's no free will anymore. Okay, I'm not sure if the story is true or not true. It doesn't really matter. But the point is, yes, in order to have free will, there has to be a choice to choose not to believe. And yeah.
If Hashem wants us to have free will, there has to be, if he's giving us that, if it's his desire for us to have free will, he has to also have some desire that we go off derech, because you're not going to give somebody free will. If he really wanted to give us free will, there obviously is some part that he's like, okay, fine, you could choose not to go off. Why are we being punished for this? If it's his will to give us an option, he has to be okay with the option we choose, because
that's why I have a concept of tinok shenishba. Tinok shenishba is somebody who literally means somebody who's taken captive as a baby and raised among non-Jews. So somebody like that, we understand, is less responsible for their not believing than somebody who knows better. So yes, you're right. There are people who don't believe, who don't know better, and maybe I don't know. I know what Hashem does with them. Maybe they have another Gilgul in which they come to believe in Hashem. I don't know, but that's not the point. The point is, Hashem will take care of whatever's justice for them. In the meantime,
but even me, he's giving me an option to not believe in him. So how could if he's giving me the option, he's giving me the option. So obviously he's okay with me choosing an option. If he didn't, if he wanted me to choose a different option, then
is Hashem okay with you eating treif?
No, but that's like my question. Like, why did he give me the choice if he doesn't want me to choose? If he doesn't want me to choose, don't give me the choice, and everyone's happy.
Hashem didn't want a robot. He wanted you to actually choose, be a thinking human being and actually make decisions on your own. If you Hashem didn't want to make robots. He has plenty of robots. He has animals. He wants you to be somebody who chooses to do the right thing. That's what makes you Tzelem Elokim, makes you like Hashem.
But how could he get mad if I don't?
Because if you know better and you choose the wrong thing, then I don't know if he gets mad, but then you deserve to be punished. If you don't know better, that's one thing. And as they said, there's a concept, Tinok Shenishma doesn't know better. But so you know better.
But like, let's say I know better, but like there's doubt. So unless Hashem's gonna give me like clear like answers, then
that's
it's
not true.
Like
everything you can be in doubt about anything, and nevertheless decide this is the right thing to do. And this is probably true. I think the example I like giving is that you don't know that George Washington never existed. You don't know that Napoleon ever existed, right? We have historical records. But if somebody wants to deny that Napoleon existed or George Washington existed, I can't produce Napoleon or George Washington and say, here he is, believe he's here, right? Can't do that. But it's rational to believe that there was George Washington, was Napoleon, and it's not rational to believe that there was no George Washington and no Napoleon. Doesn't make sense. So Hashem says, you know what? I'm no worse than Napoleon. If you believe there's Napoleon, you should believe there's a God, right? And a thinking human being has the capacity to understand that. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So usually, that's what we said way back in the name of Rebbe Chana, usually people who don't believe, it's not because they really don't believe, it's because they have a Yetzer Hara, and that's why they don't want to believe. So, and they want to follow their desires, and that's why they don't want to believe. So a person says, Akash Baruch Hu, if you just think about it, this is obviously true. Otherwise, we would not have this Masorah, this historical record going back without any deviation, without any anybody opposing it for thousands of years that Mammon Har Sinai took place. Let's go on. Besides that, anybody who knows the history of the nations, Makir knows that many of the religions were created. They see both Klushos by weak and ridiculous reasons. Hadas Anglicanis, Anglia, the Anglican Church in England, which is what a lot of people in England, America, other countries believe in. Notzrai de Hamelech Henry Ashmini was created by Henry VIII. Shebikesh Garesh Tishto wanted to divorce his wife. But if you are Roma, see and the Pope in Rome refused to allow it. In Catholicism, there's no in strict old Catholicism, there's no divorce. Still to today, can't ever get divorced. Once you're married, it's forever, unless the Pope or somebody else decides to annul your marriage, which means not that you get divorced, but that the marriage never took effect for whatever reason. So Henry VIII, he got one or two annulments, and then the Pope said, "I'm not annulling any more marriages of yours." So he got all upset because he ultimately had 6 wives. So he said, "You know what? The heck with your religion. I'm going to start a new religion in which there is divorce." So that's how the whole Anglican Church started, because Henry VIII wanted a divorce. So many people accept this religion as being the true religion, even though it's based on a king wanting to get divorced from his wife, right? As Lim Road, he decided to rebel about to make an independent religion. The Mormons are a group mostly in Utah of several million Christians who have an additional belief in the Book of Mormon, which is a book after, in the 1800s. It was created by the dream of one person. There was a guy named Joseph Smith who lived in upstate New York, who claimed that an angel named Moroni came to him, and the angel Moroni gave him gold tablets, which was in a whole new Bible. And these gold tablets, Joseph Smith translated and wrote and had written up. And then the gold tablets disappeared, and they looked at the left of the Book of Mormon, and the Mormons all accepted this as being a new revelation from God. So everything relies on this wacko Joseph Smith, who came along and said, "You know what? I got a new revelation from God. Believe me that I did, or from an angel. Believe me that I did because I said so." And that's Islam. Islam, the Muslims, was why it came right to the world, not because people are persuaded logically, but because they're afraid of getting killed by fear of the sword. Anybody didn't submit to Islam, would be killed. And therefore also in Egypt, Turkey, a field of Pakistan, place where there was no direct link to Muhammad, who founded Islam. Millions took on this religion. So millions of people became Muslims because otherwise they'd be killed. It's interesting. Muhammad did not demand of Jews and Christians to convert. They were allowed to remain Jews and Christians and be second-class citizens. And that's probably because Islam is based on Judaism and Christianity. So he'd be shooting himself in the foot. to say, I'm just going to kill other Jews or Christians, because Islam claims to be built on Judaism, Christianity, and have taken the place of Judaism, Christianity. So there's no requirement in Islam to kill Christians or Jews, but there is a requirement in Islam to kill people who worship idols. So then, whenever they came to somebody who worshiped idols, they said, "You either convert or we're going to kill you." So most people decided, okay, we're going to convert. So no, it wasn't an intellectual argument. It was a very, very powerful fear argument. So the fact meaning that there are hundreds of millions of believers in Islam, it's not because they analyzed it and looked at it logically, but because of the social pressure. And the threat of the sword, that's what allows them to begin spreading their religion. But America have Tzfonis, Badromis, Hoyu Rak Indianim. And America, North America, South America, they're only Indians. They didn't become Christians because of some intellectual argument. But because the Christian conquerors were successful. And also they said the same thing. The Christian conquerors mostly said to the Indians, either convert or we're going to kill you. So therefore also, there was not a logical argument. It was very practical arguments. Okay? They wanted to survive. Habasi Sanem on the trustworthy basis, the Emunah Sayadus, to the belief of Judaism, Umamad Har Sinai, is they're standing Har Sinai, Koloshan Rambam, like the Rambam writes, V'tizku Mamad Har Sinai, remember standing Har Sinai, Asher Tzivon Hashem Lizichro Tamid, which Hashem commanded us to always remember. Yisham Elcha, be careful, Shmor Nafsh Kamod, and watch your soul very much. Pantish Kachas of Very Mishori Necho, lest you forget the things which your eyes saw, unless they depart from your heart anytime during your lifetime. Yom Asher Amat Lifnei Hashem Elokecha B'Chorev, the day which stood before Hashem and Har Sinai. The Roy Lachem is all the Rambam speaking. It's appropriate for you, my brothers, to raise your children with the knowledge of this great event. And to tell it over in every congregation, in every shul. As for Musar Chashiva, so how significant it is, how great it was. This is the basis, the hinge, literally, of our religion, and the proof, which brings us to the correct perspective. The Ram adds, Udu Achinu, and my Noah brothers, Lebris Hazu, to this covenant, and this great thing, which happened in reality. In other words, it wasn't anybody's imagination. It wasn't that we have to believe in anybody else who told us. But I show you something which actually happened. I show you the love of Tosha Beidim, and which the best witness, testified, that there wasn't before any other such gathering like Har Sinai. And there won't be one afterwards either, which is who saw that an entire nation will hear the word of Hashem. But Tia Zaro, and see his light, his radiance, eye by eye to eye. The Shlona says that Chazik is Emunah Chozek, and this whole purpose, the whole purpose of Mamad Har Sinai was to strengthen Emunah with a power Shelo Yishaneu Eze Mishaneh, that nobody can come and change it. Shlomo Melech gave an analogy, a mashal, which Am Yisrael is a beautiful woman, which has no blemish. It says, you're all beautiful and you have no blemishes. And the same mashal, he likened the other nations who want to draw us away from our religion to other religions, leposhim, to criminals, hamasisim, who try to convince, hamafatim, who try to seduce, esanoshim, these women, amisol, to do terrible things. These words they'll say. So maybe we'll accept their religion and we'll accept their opinions. Shubi ashulamis. As I said, shiurim, come Come, the perfect one, Am Yisrael. Shuvi nechzabah, come and let's see you. In other words, let's see you change your mind. And we respond, Ma techazu b'shulamis. What do you think you're going to see in the shulamis, in the perfect one? Kimecholas machanayim. Anything like the circle of the camp. Klomar, meaning, she misvakachs mem, Am Yisrael argues with the nation's world. From Esem it says, Siuli dugma, bring me an example of anything, your religion, Kmo Mamar Sinai, like the gathering in Har Sinai, Shebo Machane Yisrael, or Machane Elokim, where there are two machanos, right, the two camps of Hashem, the camp of Bnei Yisrael, camp of Malach, and camp of Bnei Yisrael, Azel umazeh, opposite each other, in a circle surrounding each other, and then I'll consider your perspective. In short, so there's an important way he puts it, a very interesting way of putting it. He says, we don't believe because other people told us to believe. But if we're all witnesses, because we have this massive revelation, and nobody said otherwise, and it came down from generation to generation. So we're all witnesses, like one body, a national body, an organized body. Hidor Sholem, that a whole generation, B'dor Shel Moshe, Masar L'dor B'achrov, gave over to the coming generation, V'afu L'dor Achshachrav, and them to the generation after them. There's also seen when we do this, Kasher Korim B'Torah B'Kriya B'Tzibur, when we read the Torah in public, Shana Achrei Shana, year after year, Magim Lo Pasuk, come the same pasuk. Rambam Kosei, so the Rambam writes, Binyani also mostly about miracles and wonders. Shasei Ezen Novi Sheker, Midas B'Duya, that some false prophet would make from some made-up religion. And sometimes are given by Hashem, like we saw in Parish a few weeks ago, power to do such miracles. That we shouldn't follow that to deny that which we know because of our own testimony. Since our religion is not based on miracles, it's based on experience, it's based on history. Miracles, they don't prove anything. So he says, so if that false prophet gets up, but so also Sumovsin Gedolim, and they great miracles. Wants to deny Moshe Rabbeinu as the law. Ain't Shamim, we don't listen to him. We know clearly that those miracles he's making are by witchcraft and sorcery. Because the new Moshe Rabbeinu, a Nopios was not based, our acceptance is not based on miracles. And then we have to see whose miracle is a bigger miracle. We saw with our eyes. We heard it with our ears. Just like Moshe Rabbeinu heard, we also heard the same thing. So what is this like? These false prophets, like witnesses, will come and want to say to a person, "Oh, you know what you saw, you didn't really see it." You're not going to listen to so many of those witnesses. You know for sure that they're false witnesses.
Can you say again what the thing about Moshe? I don't understand that.
Moshe Rabbeinu didn't see Hashem any more than we saw Hashem. Moshe Rabbeinu, I said it's for like Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu says to us, you don't believe in Hashem because of me. You believe in Hashem because of yourself. We say in davening, Vayamina Hashem Moshe Avdo. We don't say Vayamina Moshe of Hashem. If it was any other religion, we'd say, okay, because we believe in Moshe Rabbeinu, that's why we believe in Hashem. No, it's the other way around. Believe in Hashem, and that's why we believe in Moshe. Because we saw Hashem speak to Moshe at Har Sinai, we know, Moshe Rabbeinu must be Hashem's agent in this world because Hashem appointed him to be that agent. But first we came to our belief in God, and then we believe in Moshe. Not Moshe came and told us about God. That's why we believe in Hashem. You see that? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know how much time I'm not going to be able to finish this whole piece. So I want to make one other point for now, which is that it's very difficult for a group to sustain a lie. The Soviet Russia collapsed after 70 years, even though they tried their best to suppress all people who would say that communism was a lie. the Nazi Germany fell apart after 12 years, even though they did their best to kill and annihilate anybody who disagreed with them. If you went to a football game, and the football game, your home team lost, say, argument's sake, the Giants, right? They lost the game, right? And 50,000 people, 100,000 people saw them lose the game. And now after the game is over, they come to you and they say, you know what? You all saw the Giants lose, but we want you to leave the stadium today and tell the entire world that the Giants won. Not only that, the Giants, not just the Giants won, but they trounced the opponents. They killed the other team. So how long would such a lie last? It wouldn't last 5 seconds. Certainly not 5 minutes. And certainly not an hour. Because from the beginning, there'd be people who say, this is baloney. We saw this. We saw the Giants lost. So the same thing is true about Mount Sinai, right? If I would come to you and try and say to you, let's make up a story where all of us, 50,000 of us, 100,000, 600,000 of us, 3 million of us saw something, and we're all going to coordinate the story with each other, and we're all going to pretend, not just for now, not just for 5 minutes, not just for 10 minutes, not just for 10 years, not just for 40 years, but forever and ever that this happened, there's no way it would ever succeed. It's not rational. The only way there could be such a Masorah is if the Masorah is grounded in truth. And that's why we believe in Ma'amad Har Sinai, because it's logical and rational to assume it occurred, and it's not logical and not rational to assume it didn't occur. Is that clear?
But isn't that argument dying out? Because it's been a long time, but still, Judaism is dying out.
The same thing like Napoleon or Julius Caesar or any other historical fact. Once something is accepted as historical fact, anybody comes later and denies it, that person needs to bring evidence that it never took place. Because there's something which, if Julius Caesar is accepted, if George Washington is accepted, that means that logically there is evidence that he existed. Somebody else come and deny that. They have to prove to you that your logical assumption is wrong. I don't have to prove to you that George Washington existed. If you deny, you're a nut. You're deliberately being obtuse, right? Same thing with Ma'amad Har Sinai. The fact that it took place earlier in time doesn't mean it's not as historical as anything else which took place. Okay, we're going to lose the feed in a minute. Are you girls available next week to continue?
I think so.
All right, so we'll continue next week. Have a good week.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye. Thank you. Bye. Thank you.